Hey, welcome to the live on your weekend. Please give the video a thumbs up. Getting ready to share some things with you all in the blessed evening. Happy Friday. This is a late live for me. I usually don't go live this late in the evening, but I am going to go ahead and get started. Welcome again to the live. I want to share some things with you. Hopefully, you can see me, hear me. I am Sila, and welcome to the live once again. If this is your first time on this channel, know that I am going to share some things with you in capsule form. Hey, hey, welcome. I see you, Miss Lady, in the building. Welcome to the live. I'm so glad you're here. I'm trying to set something else up over here so that you are able to, I'm able to respond and see what you're saying on this side. So I want to make sure I'm able to do that as you come in. Again, remember to thumbs up the live on your way in. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm going to get started right now. I have a few notes of some things that I want to share with you. I think that today's live, of course, if you've been on this channel before, you know I'm going to give you this message in capsule form. We are 9 days, 10 days into the new year. So happy New Year. Welcome to the CLI channel. I often say we're doing big things on this channel in a great and mighty way. I'm trying to get this other screen up so that I am able to read your comments at the same time. So I am going to be in the book of Numbers. I really hope and pray that this blesses you as it blessed me today to get this message in, to share it out with you. Definitely not going to be a long live. I am going to come in. Hello, MH. How are you? What's the next step? You have to stick around, find out what the next step is. MH, welcome to the live. The next step is definitely going to be going over to the book of Numbers, and then I'm going to share this with you here. All right, so here we are coming into the story of what has happened or what has already happened with Moses and his siblings. So Miriam and Aaron and several others were talking about Moses. They had some negative things to say about the way Moses was taking care of business, and they didn't like it. So there is a promise, there was a promise, and the promise is still going to happen and still happened here in this story. So this is where we're finding out where they're going into the promised land. The children of Israel are going into the promised land. So here it says that the Lord stated to Moses to send the men to explore the land of Canaan, the land that he was going to give Moses and those that were going in. So he sent one leader from each of the tribes of the ancestral tribes. So Moses did as he was commanded. He sent out the 12 men, all the tribal leaders of Israel, from their camp to the wilderness of Paran. These were the tribes and the names of the leaders. So if you're looking in your Bible right here, it's in Numbers 13. So this is where it really starts to really the plot just starts to thicken here. Is these were the names, they listed off the name, and Moses tells them to go to explore the land. So by this time Moses has changed Hosea's name to Joshua. So you didn't know that, now you know it. So Moses gives the men the instructions as he sends them out to explore the land. And just a few notes that I have here that I want to share. Northward, they went to the Gave, to the hill counties. So their countries, they're looking over into the land to see who's living in the land. If the people are strong, if they're weak, or how many are actually there, what kind of land do they live in? Is it a good land? Is it a bad land? Do their towns have walls or are they unprotected? How's the soil? Is it fertile or is it poor? Are there any trees? Enter the land boldly and bring back samples of the crops you see. It happened to be the season of harvesting the first ripe grapes. So these are several instructions that they had, children of Israel had, the 12 men that were coming from the other tribes, 12 tribes that were going in. They had several instructions to which they had to listen, and they had to find out the land because they're getting ready to live in this land. So the next step is we have to follow, just to kind of give more information for you, MH. Um, they had to follow instructions. So when you get to the next level, the next step is accessing your promise. MH, that's the next step, is to access the promise. A promise is something that has been rendered over to us. A promise is something that has been stated we will have or we will have access to. So that's the next step. The next step is accessing your promise. And so the children of Israel, Moses and the men that had to go into the land to access the promise, they had to do something. They had to get up, they had to go out, they had to put clothes on, they had to get their donkeys and animals ready and ripe to get into the town to go and access what the promise of God was for them. So as they're there, they had to find out about the soil. This is something I wanted to point out. The samples of the soil. Can we grow here? This is something they needed to find out. Can we grow anything here? Can we eat anything from the ground here? Is there anything that's going to be good that comes out of the ground? And the Bible tells us here that it wasn't just so happened, but this was the season of harvesting the first ripe grapes. So when they got there, they already saw that the ground was good. Why? Because they already saw what was happening with the grapes. This was the harvesting time of the grapes. So in order to access the promise, you have to be obedient. In order to access the promise, you have to move. In order to access the promise, you have to listen and you have to get on one accord. You have to be on the same page. You have to have one mind. You have to have like minded thoughts. You have to be able to listen to the person that is leading you. And you can't have your own vision, your own plan at that time because it's not that time. It's time for all of us to go in, all of us to gain, all of us to access, all of us to get into that promised land. The only way we can do these things is if we listen. So they went up and they explored the land and they went into the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob and near Labo Hamath. So going northward, they passed through the Negev and they arrived at Hebron. And as they're going through here, they see the descendants of Enoch. This is where they live. So the ancient town of Hebron was founded 7 years before the Egyptian city of Zon. When they came to where what is known as the Valley of Eshcol, they cut down a cluster of grapes so large that it took two of them to carry it on a pole between them. So it took the grapes were so large, they had to put it on a pole, and two of them, they had to carry it. So they also took samples of the pomegranates and the figs. At the time, the Israelites renamed the Valley Eshcol cluster. That's what they called it because of the cluster of grapes they had cut there. So when we look at the cluster of grapes that they cut there, when we look at what wine is, there are several things that you can do with this wine, with this grapes. They could use the grape seed, they could press it and make it into oil, they could have drank the wine, they could have fermented it, they could eat from this. There were several nourishments that came from this land that they were inhabiting or they had inhabited. And this was a promise. So, what's the next step for those that are coming in? When you're accessing the promises of God, you have the next step is to access it. But when you're accessing it, you have to walk in obedience and to fully hear everything that God is saying and speaking over you and into your destiny. The only way that you can access fully the promise is through obedience. And so the children of Israel here, as they're getting ready to access the promise, the next step they had to do is to obey because the promise was already there for them. That's the only way you can get it. So the samples of the soil had to be there in order to find out if they could grow in that land. And this is something else that was just really exciting that I wanted to share with you. These promises were so big. The promises of God for them were so big, it took two of them to carry it on a pole in between the two of them. So the two of them had to be on the same page, they had to be on the same channel, they had to be of the same mindset in order to access the promise together. So, what am I saying to you? Sometimes there are people that will be in your life that will access the promise along with you. Sometimes you will find that there will be people that will get in the trenches with you. They're going to be people that will get in prayer with you. They're going to get, you will find people will get into agreement with you and they will access that promise with you. They will assist you in accessing the promise. So big the promises were that it took two people to carry it in between the two of them. So what did that mean? That meant as long as I'm walking in this promise, this person that is connected with me is accessing their promise as well. And the person that is connected to them will access their promise as well. So they changed the name of the place to cluster, from Eshcol to cluster because of the cluster of grapes that they had cut there. So then here the Bible tells us after exploring the land for 40 days, they were exploring this land for 40 days. How many of you have seen the 30-day tag on a car? How many have seen a 30-day tag on a car? You get the new car, you're excited about it. The 30-day tag is on the car, you're excited, you're stoked about it. You're getting into this new spot, this new position. I'm going to get over to the comments, but I want to say this to you as well. When you are accessing the promises of God, and this is just something that I jotted down right here. You can't stay in the same place. This causes movement. Movement means life. There has to be steady movement, or there will be a stagnant spot, which is no movement. Everything underneath there is just going to die. The grass is going to die because you're staying in the same spot. You won't move. The thing that I wanted to share with you is the promises of God will teach you to grow. The promises of God will expand you. The promises of God are yea and amen. That means yes and amen. So these are the things that will come in. These promises of God will teach you. And a lot of times we feel like it won't. The promises of God won't teach me anything. The promises of God will teach you so many things. They will teach you so many things about God, and they will teach you a lot about your character. They will teach you a lot about your patience. They will teach you a lot about yourself. And a lot of times, the promises of God will teach you about the people that are around you. I know I can't get an amen right there, but I will say amen for myself, because lots of times there's things that I've accessed or I've seen people access, and I've seen people, as we say in this term, haters. I've seen other people upset because they didn't access that promise. Well, guess what? You didn't do the work that they had to do. You didn't go through what they went through in order to access that promise. So when you access the promise, if I'm connected to you accessing your promise, and this is the promise of God over your life, I am ecstatically excited about you accessing what God has for you. Because why? This increases my faith. Even more so because I'm seeing that God did it for you. And if God can do it for you, then yes, I believe that He can do it for me. So there's no need for me to hate. There's no need for me to feel like I'm in a competition with you. There's no need for me to feel as if I have to be upset or angry with you because you accessed the promise of God before me. I'm excited because what you're doing is you're showing me He did it for you. He'll do it for me, and I'll wait my turn. But while I'm waiting my turn, it's okay for me to celebrate you. So that's the next step. For me to celebrate you while you are accessing your promise that God has spoken and decreed over your life. The promises of God will expand you. How will they expand you? They will put you in a spot where you will say, well, wait a minute, I wasn't accustomed to this. I was talking to someone about this today. Let me get over to the comments first before I tell you what I was talking about today. I'm waiting for this other screen to open up so that I can see the other comments and still give you eye contact. But let me get in here and speak to everybody in this live. All right, we have a lot of people here today, and welcome everyone to the live. I'm going to scroll up. Okay, all right. Hello, Foxy Fox. Welcome to the live. Hello, KC. Welcome to the live. Frank GTV's in the building. Hey, Creative Creole. Welcome back. We missed you. Thea's Bunch. Hello, and welcome to the live. I want to make sure I say everything and speak to everyone because I want to tell you something in a little bit. Hello, Eating with K Cotton. Welcome to the live. It's a late live for me, but I'm so excited to be here, and I'm glad that everyone is in the building today. All right. Thea's Bunch Creative Creole is speaking to you. All right. Hello, Linda. I'm so glad that you are here. Oh, I did. I really missed you. It hasn't been the same, but I'm so glad you're here. What I was gonna say is, I was thinking about just freedom, and just thinking in general about the mindset of just being free, and the mindset of, and when I say freedom, I'm saying whether freedom is where you are. Freedom is what you're thinking. You can be free from a negative thought. You can be free from stress. You can be, there's a lot of things you can be free from. But what I'm saying is you can be physically free, and you can be mentally bound. When you have the promise of God displayed in front of you, this gives us such great freedom. Even though the children of Israel before were held into captivity, were slaves of Pharaoh before, and Pharaoh had to release them, there was a mentality, a mindset that they had that they refused to release. That's the point. The point I'm getting at is even though they traveled all around and everywhere they had to go, they were traveling, but there was something that had to be weeded out of them. There was something that had to be removed out of them in order for them to access the promise. So the point of me saying that is there are times that it's going to take some time in order for you to access it. Why? Because there's something that has to be weeded out of us. We have to get our minds ready to access the promise. We have to get our minds ready to access what God has in store for us. If we're not accustomed to having something, then when something comes, you're not going to know how to act when you receive it. If you're not accustomed, I was saying this to someone today. If there were a way, and I want you guys to comment here and let me know what you think. If there was a way for you to receive $1,000 or for you to receive a business brand that was worth $1,000, which would you take? Would you take the money or would you take the business brand? Comment in the chat and let me know what you think. And then I'll tell you what I think, what I thought. Would you take the brand or would you take the money? So as you're thinking about that, the other thing that I wanted to share as well, and I'm talking about accessing the promise, the next step um, is everyone isn't destined to make it into your promise. Now, there's another spot right here that somebody's not going to be happy with this because we want to take everybody into our promise. Guess what? Everybody can't make it into your promise. Every one of the children of Israel did not make it into the promised land. Why? Because there were things that were inside of them that they refused to let go. We have to be willing to know that everyone is not destined to make it into your promise. So if they don't come in, it's okay with me. If you didn't make it into my promise, I'm good with that. I'm good with you out where you are. I may not make it into your promise, and that's okay. But everybody's not destined to be there. So if you had the choice, welcome to the live, everyone. If you had the choice to receive $1,000 or to receive a business brand that was worth $1,000, if you're just coming into the live, I'm asking you to comment in this chat. Which would you take? Would you take the money or would you take the business brand that was worth $1,000? Okay, hey, Sweet Pea, welcome to the live. All right, so Frank G is saying he would take the business brand. Linda is saying she would take the business brand. KC is saying he would take the business brand. Uh, Edie K Cotton says she would take the money, and so MH is saying he would take answer two. You are so funny, MH. You won't give a direct answer. You'll take answer two. Okay, so and then Sweet Pea is saying hi, love your messages that you deliver to all. I'm trying to see it. Who delivering, who need to hear, driving, but I'm here. Hugs and love you all. Love to all of you on the live. So Sweet Pea is saying hello to everybody on the live. Okay, so Eating with K Cotton says the brand may not be right. Frank G, Sweet Pea, Frank G is saying hello to Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea, Frank G saying hi to you. He says hi, my Sweet Pea. So Casey is saying build my brand and triple that cash. And Creative Creole is thinking about it. Sweet Pea is saying love to all. Okay, light turning green. All right, so the brand. Okay, so you know what I thought? I said that this is what I said. I wanted to hear what Creative Creole was going to say. So let me just say this first. Foxy Fox, if you're still in the building, let me know what you think. Eating with K Cotton says the brand may not be right. Everybody else is saying they would take the money. I said that I would take the brand. And the reason why I would take the brand, because if the brand, you can always change the brand, but you can't change the money. And if your mindset is not right, and this is not saying that this is about anyone, just saying in general, if you take the money and you don't know how to invest the money, then you're going to lose the money. If you take the money and you don't know how to save the money, then you won't have any money. But if you are taught and you invest as you got the brand, as you have the brand, you can make that brand your own brand. You can turn around and make that brand into something phenomenal. You can turn that brand. Like, does anybody, well, see, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get any copyright strikes. So can you get in trouble with saying names of brands? on YouTube, I know you can't sing songs, but can you get in trouble for saying like the name of a brand? I'll just say this: there was a particular brand, and they were up north, and they were in New York. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. They were in New York. There was a group of guys that were in this brand. And I will say that's true. Okay, brand. Why the brand? But okay, but if it's not good, why is the brand up? Okay, up for bid if it's not good. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right. So the well, I'm just saying in general, if you had a choice to take the money or the brand, which would you take? So, but they didn't really tell you if it was like clean money. They didn't say if the brand was good or bad. It was just a question in general. And what I was saying is this causes our creativeness to flow and to flourish because you find out what's really inside of you. Now, if you have that brand and you are a business mind and you're saying like, even with K Cotton for you have a business mind. And because you have that business mind, you would take that brand and you would flip it. And as you flip it, you would get more money than that $1,000. So if you got $1,000 or a brand that was worth $1,000, you could make that brand whatever you wanted it to be, and you could create wealth. You could create money. You could create increase because it's your brand. You can change the brand. But the company that I was talking about that was up north for us, by us, I'll say that. And um, they put this brand together and it was a really good brand, but the marketing was bad. They started off really good and then they kind of like slid down and it didn't take off like it could have taken off. But the mindset, and if they could come back to the table now, I'm sure they would be ready right now to take that brand to the next level. But because that ship has sailed, it's no more. Well, I guess they could rebirth it, they could bring it back. But right now, nobody's really talking too much about that particular brand. So why is the brand up for bid? Why is the money up for bid? The two options were just there to see if you would be willing to push yourself to find out the business mind of how to elevate that brand to the next level, or how to take either that money and invest it. And a lot of times we look at this, I was thinking about this, the money or the brand. And I said, again, the brand, because I could flip that brand. I could make that brand something else and then turn around and invest. And then after I've invested my money into the brand, take it to the next level and then sell it. So it didn't hurt me. I mean, I'm not really lost for really anything because I just put my mind to it. I put my little 2 cents into it and I expanded it. I see that there are still some comments here. Uh-oh, dropping my notes. Creator Creole said, yes, I've heard of Damon talk about that. See, right. Sharon is saying no. See, yeah, it is true. When you do that, when you build that brand, you make it something that you wanted, something that you've always wanted, and you cause it to flourish. So the mindset has to change. Now I know also too, like you can. My grandmother would say, you get money in your pocket and you burn a hole in your pocket because you can't hold the money, and or you get it and then you spend it. You spend it as fast as you receive it. So as quick as the money came in your hand, you let it go quicker. And so this is what I was saying about the children of Israel in this particular story. This is why they had to find out who was for them and who was against them, who was in the land. They needed to find out if the land had gates on it. Was it protected or was it open? Were the people that were living in that land larger than them, bigger than them, taller than them, stronger than them? Can we grow in this land? And so in our lives, and even here on YouTube, we're looking at it. Can I flourish here? And then we look at this like this. Okay, what's a successful channel on YouTube? Is it going to be motivational speakers? Is it more of a mukbang community? Is it more of a beauty community? It really depends on what the needs are. And so here, the children of Israel needed to eat, they needed to thrive, they needed to live, they needed to succeed, they needed to expand. And that's the other thing with the expansion. This is going to be something that's going to bless you when I share this with you. This right here was one of the other notes that I put here on here. The children of Israel had a certain 12 that went into the land. Okay. This one blessed my socks off. The next level is you have to upgrade your circle. Yes, I'm pointing at you because I'm saying it. I do. I have to upgrade my circle. If there are a group of people or persons that are in your circle that are not willing to advance you, that are not willing to encourage you, that are not willing to invest in you, and all of the investments do not have to be monetary investments. You can invest in me with wisdom. You can invest in me with a business plan. You can invest in me with a book. You can invest in me with time. If you are not willing to invest in, to be an invested partner in, to be an invested person in this with me, you can't go. I have to upgrade my circle. And this is why there were a set number 12 that were supposed to go in that were representing the tribes, the elite tribes. They were going in to make the decision. So there weren't people that were going in that didn't know anything. These people that were going in knew their stuff. They knew about the ground, they knew about the land, they knew about the secureness, they knew about these things. So the other thing is again not staying in the same place. When we look at what happened with the children of Israel were constantly on the go. They're constantly moving. They never sat in one spot. Why? Because God was constantly taking them to the next level. So what's the next step? Is going to the next level, allowing God to enter into your mind and to give you God-like thoughts so that you can access the next level of the promise. Let me see right here. It's buffering. Oh no. Casey says, I agree, sis. Your circle defines who you are. Ooh. Do we agree with that? Does your circle define who you are? Does everybody agree with that in the chat? That's what Casey is saying. So as they enter into and that's just to get some discussion going amongst us in the chat. They went into the land and they cut it, and then when they came back, they reported to the community what they saw, and they showed them the fruit that they had taken back from the land. So here, some people need proof, some people need evidence, some people need to see a realistical example of the goodness of God, and they can learn that and see that through your life. They can see that and hear that through what you're saying and the way that you are living your life. So they gave this report to Moses. We arrived to the land where you sent us to see, and it is indeed a magnificent country, a land flowing of milk and honey. And what does that mean? Does it mean that it was really literally milk and honey flowing? No, milk and honey in these times were wealth and prosperity. Rich people had milk and honey. So these are things that were stated here in the scripture. That's why this is a just a symbolism of wealth, milk and honey. Here is some of the fruit that we've seen. But the people living there are powerful, and their cities and their towns are fortified and very large. We also saw the descendants of Anak who were still living there. The Amalekites lived in the Negev, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites live in the hill country. And then the Canaanites live along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea and all along the Jordan Valley. So they're seeing this and they're giving this report to Moses. Moses is now, he is pretty much their leader. And as he's their leader, he's telling him, he's giving them instructions and telling them what they need to do. And they're reporting back to him what they've seen. And they're saying it is true. There are times that you will have to, as I stated this before, get up and see for yourself. And as you get up and see for yourself, sometimes there's some things, and I don't know if you agree with this. Tell me in the comments, in the chats, if you agree or you disagree with this. What do you think? Do you think that if something is given to you, that you have greater respect for it versus if you have to work for it? Do you have more respect for something that you work for, or do you have greater respect for it because it was given to you? Okay, the Creative Creole is saying after that from school, I keep running. Okay, thank you so much. I agree, sis. Your circle defines who you are. Okay, so yeah, they are.